He's our old-school pioneer of the sports talk craft and a drop machine. This is Norm Hitzges, mornings 10 till noon on Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket.
Do you feel left behind like there's something...
At 11:30 this morning, we're doing the Twitter segment, so send us your sports, lifestyle, or travel questions to this address, at Norm's Clubhouse, and we'll take 15, 20 of your questions, a very fast-paced 11:30 segment, our Twitter segment. But first, to a young man whose life has been crazy the last year or so and crazy the last week or so, we are joined by Chris Seitz. He is FC Dallas's keeper. Chris was a terrific player at the University of Maryland, where they won the national championship. He was drafted in the first round of the pro soccer draft in 2007 by Real Salt Lake, spent 3 years there as a backup, went to Philadelphia as a starter, then signed with Seattle and was dealt to Dallas. We'll try to get some details of that later. And has been here the last 2 years as a backup keeper to Kevin Hartman. But oh my, the twists and turns life takes. Good morning to Chris Seitz. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, and I can't imagine you're not great. Let me start with the most recent of events. Your baby was born yesterday.
Yeah, it's been a special, I guess, week for my fiance and I. So it's been a crazy last 24 hours, that's for sure.
Were you in the delivery room for the birth of Declan?
I was.
I've never been there myself. Everybody I've ever talked to who's been in a situation like that has a different account and a different feeling. What was yours?
It was, I guess, excitement and anxiety. Obviously, we had planned for everything that was going on and stuff, but at the same time, it's kind of out of your hands a little bit. So for us, I was obviously there for Kate and really just trying to be there to support her. And then once Declan came out, it was definitely a special moment for the three of us. This
is the biggest of special moments in the last few days for Chris, because last Saturday, with Raul Fernandez of FC Dallas away with the Peruvian national team, Chris got to start in goal against Real Salt Lake and produced a shutout last week. Your career has taken many twists and turns. How wonderful did that feel last weekend for you?
It was good. It was one of those things where I've had a really good preseason and a good start to the year. So to be able to get a game early on and definitely have a good game and a good game at home in front of my family was special. So it was a good result for the team, and it was one that we needed and one that we went out and definitely played really well for.
This is Chris Seitz. He's the goalkeeper for FC Dallas with us on Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket. Was there some extra special feeling it being Real Salt Lake, the team that brought you into this league and that had you as a backup keeper for 3 years?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think it's definitely the same coaching staff, but a lot of the players have changed. And we were playing probably against three guys that were on the team when I was there. So a lot of the guys have changed from that team. They had a lot of guys out as well. But for us, it was one of those things that it was just more special to get the W and get the zero and kind of just build off of that and hopefully carry that momentum into Saturday in New England.
Chris, I want to get to this incredible story from last season that you were part of also. But I want to ask this. You're 25 years old, and the way I count this, you've been, in the last 6 years of your life, you've been with Maryland, Real Salt Lake, loaned out to a couple of teams, started in Philly, signed with Seattle, and came to Dallas. Did you have your bags caught up with you yet from all those years?
Yes, they have. We're really excited to be in Dallas for the last three. So for us, it's been good, and it's obviously a place where we're starting to raise a family now. So it's definitely a crazy start to my career, but at the same time, we're definitely happy here, and we definitely are excited to be raising our family.
Given your success in college, was it hard to be a vagabond for these years? Was it hard to move around saying, I will find a spot and settle in eventually?
I think it kind of adds to the fire. It kind of adds to your work ethic, and it really kind of brings it all together. And and really makes you work for it. I never thought I'd be given anything when I came into this league, and so I always had the mindset of having to work and having to prove myself, and that's kind of where I've been the last 3-4 years. And so for me, it's one of those things where I came out at a really young age, and for me, I kind of had to grow up a little bit, kind of mature as a goalkeeper and on and off the field. So for me, it's been a while, but at the same time, I've learned a lot, and I'm better for it, I believe.
I wanted our audience to know some of the background of who Chris Seitz was before we got to this significant story you were a part of. 4 years ago, while you were at Real Salt Lake to support a teammate, you and several of your teammates signed up to be bone marrow donors. I have to tell you, Chris, I'm a bone marrow donor, okay? You sign the card, and then it's a worldwide situation where people fighting cancer who need bone marrow, if they find there's a match, you get called. I've been called once, but was not the best match. Tell me about the call you got last year that said you were the match.
Yeah, it definitely came out of the blue. I'd gotten done with training about a couple hours before and was just at the house, kind of having a lazy afternoon. I believe it was summertime, so it was pretty hot out. So I was at the house hanging out, and I received an email followed by a phone call, and it was kind of the preliminary stages and just telling me that it was a possible match and I needed to go for further testing. And so I went that route, did the testing, and then they came back to me a week later and said that I was the best possible match, that I was in the 99 point whatever percentile for the patient, and if I was willing, that they wanted to move forward quickly.
Now, I want people to know, it was explained to me that this is something that usually takes a day out of your life, and then you're sore for a few days, and you can go right back to work. But yours was way more complicated than that. Chris, yours would require, your bone marrow donation would require a long time off. It would require your leaving the team because you had such a significant rehab. First of all, let's talk about the procedure itself that was way more involved than most bone marrow donations. What did they do to you to get the bone marrow from you?
Well, there's two different methods of going about it, and it all depends on what the patient needs. So there's a way of doing it through your blood, where it's definitely not a fun process as well, but at the same time, it's one that you can kind of be back in a day or so from. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that wasn't the option that I had. The other option is to go in surgically and kind of put 2 holes into your lower back and then go from there. And I had a bigger patient, someone in need that was a lot bigger than me, and I'm a pretty big guy, so that means a lot. And he needed a pretty hefty amount of bone marrow. So they went in, through 2 holes in my back, 1 on each side, the lower back, and then in my pelvis from there, they put 26 holes on each side, so 52 holes total into my lower back, taking out, I guess, bone marrow and stuff that he needed.
And they then fish 32 needles through those holes to get fresh bone marrow that's then given to the person in need. Do you know who you gave your bone marrow to? I
do not. The person that I gave it to, I know a little bit about them. I know that they're in the United States, and I know it's a male, but other than that, I don't know anything else. I get updates every 4 or so months on how the individual is doing, but besides that, they try and keep you separated so he has time to heal, and at the same time that he also has his privacy to go about the recovery process.
Before we go back to the decision, what's the latest update on the person you gave your bone marrow to?
The last time I talked to him was a couple months ago, and the news was that he was out of the hospital, that he was doing pretty well with it all. I haven't heard anything for quite a while, so I don't know where we're at now, but those were obviously some pretty positive signs. Would
you like to know? Would you like to meet this person someday?
I think it comes down to really, it's up to them. And then for me, it's a lot different than it is for him. And for him, he's got a lot on his mind and a lot that he's got to do before he's even probably going to entertain the idea. And I completely understand that. And one of those things where I want to give him his space and his time to do what he needs to do to get back fighting.
Chris, I want to look at your career and ask how much you considered that. Like we talked about before, you hadn't secured a spot. You're trying to find a spot. And this procedure causes you to leave your team in the middle of the season and simply be gone. Was it a difficult decision for you, given that it costs you a chance to settle in further with the team?
To be honest, it really didn't. I have a good supporting cast here from between my family, obviously my fiance and my mom and my dad and my sister and her family. So for me, it wasn't a tough decision. I believe it was something that I needed to do. I have an uncle who was going through something very, very similar, or is still continuing to go through something very, very similar to what I had the opportunity to help someone with. And my dad ended up being a match for him about 2 months before I got the call. So it definitely hit close to home. And it was one of those things that to me, it made complete sense. And it was something that I needed to do and I wanted to do. And if I had the opportunity to do it and FC Dallas gave me the green light, it was something that I was definitely going to take advantage of.
Chris, congratulations and everything. The birth of your child yesterday, the win last week in a terrific performance, and now being acclaimed several places for your decision in this humanitarian area. Thank you. We appreciated the time this morning. Continued success to you.
Thank you very much.
That's Chris Seitz, the FC Dallas goalkeeper. FC Dallas plays again this weekend at New England, and we come back next on Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket to discuss